Call to order the Finance Committee meeting on November 28th, 2022 at 7 p.m. We have one item on the agenda this evening, a proposed tax increment agreement. The first order of the evening is order number 2022-100-8736. Communication from Mayor Vidgen, proposed tax increment financing agreement with PI Physique Instrument, LP, a global manufacturer and supplier of positioning technology, to operate at 130 Lizard Drive, City Assessors Map 90, Parcel 2A. And I will begin by reading the letters submitted by the Mayor. Honorable President Ossing and Councilors, I am requesting the City Council review and accept the enclosed proposed tax increment financing agreement with PI LP, who anticipate moving their operations to 130 Lizard Drive, City Assessors Map 90, Parcel 2A. PI is a global manufacturer and supplier of positioning technology serving industrial automation, microscopy, life sciences, semiconductor, photonics, and large-scale scientific projects with U.S. headquarters currently in Auburn, Mass. The company will be investing approximately $4.9 million in combined soft real property and personal property costs at the project area, which includes an existing 100,000 square foot building that has been vacant for close to 3 years. In anticipation of the receipt of the TIF benefits, PI will develop the site into a corporate headquarters and plan to relocate 64 permanent full-time jobs from their Auburn and Hopkinton sites, create an additional 40 permanent full-time positions over a 10-year span of the TIF agreement that will be open to qualified Marlborough residents. This 5-story building is a prime location for PI, where they will invest for future growth in our community while bringing in tax dollars and businesses for our area service providers and restaurants. Additionally, this project will be less intrusive with regards to traffic than a large apartment complex that was previously proposed. Enclosed for your review are the following: 1, preliminary application from the Commonwealth of Mass. 2, intent to apply. 3, draft resolution. 4, the TIF and the worksheet depicting estimated real property tax savings for PI. I'm requesting review of the PI's TIF application at your earliest convenience to meet their December 8th deadline with the state. Thank you in advance for your cooperation. Please don't hesitate to contact me or MEDC's Executive Director Meredith Harris with any questions. Sincerely, Arthur G. Vidgen, Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Would you like to make the introductions, please?
Chairman, members, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight. I want to introduce Dave Rago, who is the president of PI. Actually, it's kind of interesting, before I get into it a little bit, when we met with him last week or the week before, I think, he said, geez, for the night of the meeting, I'm supposed to be heading off to Germany, and he changed his flight so he could be here with you tonight. But we're really excited. As you stated, PI is a global manufacturer and supplier of positioning technology. What that means, I'm going to leave it to the boss. But it's a great opportunity for us to fill a vacant property. It's been vacant for about 3 years now. This is bringing something to the area that won't have the impact on the schools like that proposal for housing would. It's putting something, it's on the tax rolls, but obviously going to increase in value and bring some of that personal property tax to the city. As we'll talk about at the next meeting with the classification hearing, like every year, we rely on our personal property tax from our commercial businesses in the city to bring in that new value, and they do it every year. And the reason is, unlike some of the smaller businesses and some of the old-time manufacturers that were doing just a metal part, these guys have to replace their equipment on a regular basis. Every time they replace their equipment, it adds new value to our personal property. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dave, and he can explain a little more of what they want to do, and then we'll be more than happy to take questions from all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, Dave, thank you. All right, Mayor, City Council President, and councilors, I appreciate your time and inviting me tonight to meet with you. I want to say a few words and then open the floor to any questions that you might have, okay? I want to start by saying, you know, PI USA, it has been in existence since 1978. Our first U.S. sales and service facility was in Costa Mesa, California. PI, or PI, stands for Physik Instrumenta, which means Instruments for Physics in German. And it's a spin-out of the Max Planck Institute in Munich, Germany. It was founded in 1972, and our key contribution to the field of high tech is the ability to move a semiconductor wafer, a DNA lab on chip, or a mirror with a precision of less than 1/1,000,000th of a millimeter. PI, Physik Instrumenta LP, of which I'm the president of, is the U.S. arm of the global PI group, whose current headquarters, global headquarters, are in southwestern Germany, has 1,600 employees worldwide with R&D centers in Germany, Japan, Israel, and soon to be Marlborough, Massachusetts. Manufacturing spreads the globe as well, with material processing located in eastern Germany. If any of you are a fan of that show on PBS where you're able to bring in all of your old ceramics or any glass. What's the name of that show? Antiques Roadshow. Yeah. So you'll find that there's a lot of the ceramics and that's made in this part of Germany, which is in eastern Germany. And one of the engines for our ability to do this precision positioning is the ceramic material. So that's where the material processing is performed. We have electronics manufacturing in Bavaria, and then the mechanical assembly and system test is in Southwest Germany, Japan, China, and here in Marlborough, Mass. At the Marlborough facility, PI, we will consolidate our Auburn and Hopkinton facilities into one, moving 65 employees to the 130 Lazat Avenue location. Here will be our U.S. headquarters that will design, assemble, and service mechatronic systems, which include mechanics such as bearings, pulleys, welded structures, and the electronic motors, also driven by the amplifiers and microcontrollers. These products can weigh anywhere between 3 tons to 50 grams. For this, we have unique requirements for skilled workers, and we believe Marlborough has the right mix of amenities and location, which makes it the best choice for our employees. There is not a single modern semiconductor chip in mass production where PI has not been involved in its manufacturing or testing process. So I look forward to working with all of you, the city of Marlborough, as we invest the $4.9 million into 130 Lazat facility, enabling it to be a high-tech, value-added assembly facility that PI USA needs to maintain its global leadership position in the semiconductor, industrial automation, life science, and photonics markets, including commercial low Earth orbit satellites.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will open it to the city council and committee members for any questions. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Chairman Irish, and thank you for coming and explaining a little bit more. I represent Ward 4, and the property is in my ward, and I apologize if this ends up sounding a little bit more like a PowerPoint presentation than questions, but I'm the newest counselor, and so I just did a whole lot of homework on TIFs, and I was actually contacted, in addition with a couple of other counselors that are maybe closer to that property, when a previous owner wanted to build either apartments or storage in that area. And so it was going to be that 5-story building, and they were really, really pushing for a multi-unit apartment development. So I got to go to the property, so I saw the outside and the inside. So in reviewing the information that was in the packet, I was really excited to see the investment that you were going to make in the property. And I also feel like, compared to what I was being told before, the previous presentation that I'd had from a previous owner, it was really leaning more toward what was going to benefit them in their position as a business. But from reading your material, I see a lot more that would benefit our community and our residents in Marlborough. And I really liked the piece, and I know it wouldn't be a definite, but a possible childcare facility for staff and community. And to me, that I'm an early childhood educator, And a lot of companies, they'll put childcare facilities in their businesses, but they close it off to the community. It's only for the staff. And so certain things that I was just reading in here, it feels really give and take. So yes, as a city, we would be involved in this TIF. And so yes, you know, there would be a little bit of a tax break that your company would receive. But as a city and all of the homework that I just did, we're not gonna lose out on what we would have gotten for our taxes in the first place. We'll still get our base taxes that we would have been getting from your property. You're gonna be investing, it looks like, about 4.9 million in the property, and you will be incrementally paying for that portion in taxes in addition to what your base would have been. So I feel like in the give and take of it, it seems like it would be a really nice relationship. And so I don't particularly have any questions because I did a lot of research on your company, how you were in Auburn for over 20 years, you outgrew your facility, and from what I see you would want to bring into the facility here in Marlborough, it basically shows me you wouldn't be looking to move out after 10 years. And so I personally don't have any questions for you, but I do, as a ward counselor, just want to say that I did do a lot of homework on this, and I am actually pretty excited about it.
Thank you.
Counsel, if I can just add 2 points from things you brought up as far as, you know, being part of the community. When I had the meeting with Dave, he also mentioned that there's gonna be some extra space up there, especially initially. And, you know, he wanted to discuss with us the opportunity of doing some incubator space for people that, you know, we could bring in there, you know, based on the terms that he laid out, but just an opportunity. And I also want to follow up on something you mentioned as far as the TIF and you know, the image that it puts out there, but this is, any reduction is only on increased value. We never go backwards. And if they don't come through with the jobs or the increase in value, there is no agreement. I mean, we've had this in our agreements for well over 20 years now. They've worked in a couple situations where the jobs just haven't worked out. And the company basically understood that we were adjusting them to the full taxes. And even in the cases where there were they put the investments in, but they didn't bring the jobs, which is just as important to us, we ended up eliminating it or reducing it and getting the full value. So, and Crawley Drive is the perfect example of that, where now we have a beautiful building down there with an addition on with resilience, and we're gonna see that opening in April. So, again, just to emphasize, we're not losing anything. It's just a question of how quickly we have the increase in tax revenue for the city. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other, Council Orm? Okay, Council Orm. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I didn't know that, so. Anyways, a couple questions. Welcome to Marlborough.
Thank you.
It appears you already purchased the property?
Yes,
Yeah, October 31st?
that's right.
Happy
Yep.
Halloween. You're in a great city. What brought you to Marlborough?
Well, I started looking a few years ago because I knew we would expand to the point where we needed to consolidate and have a bigger facility. You know, Marlborough just checked off a lot of boxes for us. You know, we know companies that have established their facilities here in Marlborough. They're successful companies. They've always said very positive things about working with the city to get their business acclimated for the growth. I like the location. I mean, I think I can pull from 4 states being here. And I know that commutes can extend, but I like the idea of, we have employees from northern Connecticut, from northern Rhode Island, from southern New Hampshire, and of course the greater Worcester area. I think for recruiting, it's also real important in this area. It's you know, Worcester is a different city than it was 10 years ago. I have younger employees who are just graduated from college, and they're living in Worcester and having a grand old time there. So from the location standpoint, it's been really, I think it also checked off the box. I mean, I think cities can be pro-business, or they can be somewhere in the middle or be anti-business. I just had to make sure that I found a location in a city that was not anti-business.
Thank you. And when you say location, highways, I presume, help out
Yeah.
with,
Big fan of 495.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's, and also, you're in other areas. Does water and sewer did it play into that decision? Water services, public water, public sewer?
Honestly, it didn't. Maybe it
Okay.
should have, but it didn't.
Just the reason I'm asking.
Why do you ask? Yeah.
I can let you know that going to a conference on reasons business locate to where they are is not based on taxes.
Yeah.
It's more based on what you said, location, and obviously infrastructure, water, sewer, very important. If you're in Hopkinton, I don't know if you're on a septic system, but, you know, that obviously can derail you from doing additional occupation and occupant space in that facility, so.
Yeah.
And that was the two others they mentioned, but they mentioned that taxes are not as critical in decision-making
Yeah.
to any business, any place. And this is at the Mass Municipal Association's conference I went to. But thank you. I was hoping to hear location. I think
Yeah.
We're very fortunate in Marlborough to have the locations and the west side of the city. When they built 495, the previous leaders of this city zoned it accordingly for business, industrial, knowing that that highway was going to be a tremendous asset to the city, and never mind the fact we have two connections now, Cimarano as well as Route 20.
Yeah.
But curious, in respect to the TIF, 10 years is a long time, and I heard what the mayor had to say, that we keep an eye on them, expect yearly reports. Who decided on 10 years? Was there a decision for 10 years? Because I'm looking at it saying that's a long time in my view.
Yeah.
Could you manage on a 5-year TIF?
If I can get into
Go
that,
ahead,
Council,
yeah.
it's probably about a third of the time you and I have been here, so it's not
Yes.
that long, I guess.
Well, that's true, Mayor, Mr.
But,
Mayor.
No, I mean, we kind of look at it, and when we're comparing ourselves, again, like you said, the taxes aren't the top of the list, but they are on the list. And when we're comparing ourselves to a Northborough and a Southborough that have obviously a lower commercial rate, because we still have a split rate, and there's no intention on changing that. But, you know, this is the proposal we came up with, and this is the proposal I'll be supporting, so.
Okay, so it was more the interaction was with the city and your office and the MEDC, I presume?
The initial discussions were with the MEDC and myself and the council
Okay.
president.
Okay. And again, I just wanted to see if there
Yep.
was any suggestion. As noted before, taxes are not detrimental to a company looking for, in my view, such a beautiful property right near Lake Williams. You're gonna have walking paths down there too.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited for
One
that.
of our city councilors in the audience. What community interests have you shown in the other communities that you work in? Such as interaction with community events or
Yeah,
charitable
not
events?
enough, actually, honestly. When I took over, this is about my 5th year in this role, and the first year was kind of just getting acclimated to the role, and then COVID came, and it was more of a reactive kind of let's stay above water situation. So I do believe that community involvement is very important. I mentioned to Meredith about having, you know, even potentially, don't quote me on this, but I'd like to think about a makerspace for the community on some of the, at least opening it up to community members to come in and use the 3D printers and even some of the prototyping equipment. But I think there's a lot to do with the schools. I mean, we want to recruit. I mean, we need technicians. We need qualified assembly people, and you know, there's a great tech school in town here, and I think definitely would want to reach out to those folks, and and try to find a good collaboration with them. But there's the challenge I've had at PI is that we've had 2 locations, and it's difficult to really build a cohesive unit. And I think once we're together, we're going to do a lot more community activities, volunteer opportunities for the company. Excellent.
The schools, you just hit a high point, and that would be terrific. It's a win-win. Win for you, win for us. There have been programs, I believe the mayor has an internship program, but I'm not for sure, Mr. Mayor, if you entertain those type of programs where the intern goes to a business.
Yeah, Meredith actually reached out, and we've had interns in several of the businesses in the city. The only issue we've had is some of the companies can't allow, because of insurance reason, can't allow people under 18, so we have to be very selective on the people that we send there. But we've had internships with several of the corporations in the city. The program that we run here is one program for high school kids and one for college students. So, but again, the MEDC has been instrumental in getting people into the companies.
Good, and I do know I was on a conference call with the chamber.
Yep.
They usually have a city councilor in once a month, and they were talking about that intent to get the chamber involved as well with locating interns into our businesses. So yep. That's the kind of community involvement that would be excellent too, is working with MEDC as well as the Chamber of Commerce. They get out to the community as well. It might get you some of those needed workers as well. The last but not least is just the money. So you're planning in the 10 years, the money collected in taxes each year amounts to for 10 years, 1.67 million. And total savings with the TIF is 201,000. So right. That's a great differential. It's not overwhelming to me that this is a TIF that I may not be able to recommend, but with the small amount of money, I think if you contribute back to the community, as we discussed, you know, that is a major plus with the schools, as well as any other interaction that could happen. The one thing, and the mayor should know this, is I believe I'm not the only council that's concerned about giving out tips, because if we give you one, why shouldn't we give it to all of the businesses coming in? Maybe in a sentence, why do you feel you might be different or in need from the other businesses that may be in line coming in too? And we can't say yes to all of them. I wish we could.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the sustainability of the business, and that's why 10 years is not an issue for me personally. I mean, we are, again, I'm a longtime PI person. We've evolved to address new markets. We're going to be around for a long time, and I think that we make gradual additions to the company. We grow at a very reasonable rate. So I think we're going to be a long-time citizen here of Marlborough.
Well, and that is a selling point to me. The mayor saying you're going to invest in new equipment on a regular basis, that brings in tax money. I'm just trying to balance out the sheet. Sure. Yeah. And obviously the general tax you bring in, so you know, those commitments are very important. And I know you're a specialized business and you're going to try to get Marlborough residents as your employees, but I don't believe you can guarantee that based on some of the jobs that probably require degrees and so forth.
Wish we all could, Councilor.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Shut the gates, you can only hire from within. I understand that.
You know, all the businesses that we have in the city would be more than happy to hire them. You know, that's why we have the jobs.
And that's where the schools come in place, because if we can get them trained beforehand, you'll have availability to Marlborough residents. So with that said, I welcome you. I'm glad you considered Marlborough, and I'll send it back to the chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. There's some good points.
Mr. Chairman, one point I just wanted to bring up, because you said why this guy and not the other guy as far as the TIF goes. I just want everyone to keep in mind the requirements for the state agreement is that they create jobs, new jobs to the community, and they can create new value, because that's all the agreement is on new value.
Correct.
It's not on the current value that we have down there right now. It's on new value and additional jobs. So if they don't do either one of those, or they don't do either of those, or both of those, they're not allowed to have the TIF based on the state agreement. We still have to bring it to the state to get it approved by them.
Understandable.
So to meet that criteria, that's what they have to do, so.
And those are other selling points, because again,
Yep.
as, on this end of it, to support it, I have to at least see a benefit to the city, you know.
Yep.
If we have another business that may have a whole different concept and can offer additional retooling and so forth, I may have a difference of opinion, but those are some of the strong points that are, to me, acceptable for this process.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And thank you for reiterating that, Mr. Mayor, because you will still be paying taxes on the base value. Another strong point, it, I think brings value to the city, is that you own the building, and you're going to make that $4.9 million improvement. So I think those are pluses for the city as well. Council Pearl.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and we really appreciate you coming. Very kind of you to move your flight. Hopefully you didn't miss anything too important, and it was really great. I appreciate the packet and going through PI overall as a company, and I know it was kind of echoed from some of the comments that were already indicated around. I saw some things around sustainability with like the green initiatives of the investments that are going to be made, which we really appreciate, and as well I know was touched upon with some of these opportunities to engage students in the community. You know, if there was an apprentice program or kind of opportunities for shadowing, I think that would be a really great way to kind of integrate, and totally respect the need to be 18 to be in some of these facilities and do that work, but I think those kinds of early opportunities would be useful. I did have a couple questions on kind of building off what Councilor Oram was speaking about with kind of the benefits to the community. I know we've been as a city investing in a transit bus that kind of connects businesses to our commuter rail stations. I don't know if that's something that you've been thinking about. You mentioned sort of where people are traveling from, and I know in the listing of where your employees were located, I'm wondering, are you encouraging people to participate in those systems or to use some of the public transit that is available, or because we just see a lot of folks obviously driving in the parking lots, and the bus service is something that we want to see be highlighted in the city, and we have been investing in it in a couple years.
Mm-hmm. I think that that's a very generational topic. I see a lot of the younger employees asking those kind of questions. To be very honest with you, we have a lot of people, they love driving to work, and again, we're not a big company, but I do see, I have looked at locations in the past that were close to commuter rail stations, and that was a plus for me. I don't know if it would move the bar for us to attract new employees, but I definitely think that depending on the setup with the bus and how it did connect to the commuter rail, we would have people who would use it, especially coming in from the greater Boston area. Was that the idea?
Yeah, so the kind of, I'm not how familiar you are with the commuter rail line, but the one we are runs from Worcester into Boston. And
Okay,
so there
and there's
could
a
be
local
people.
stop here, or is it would be
There's
the
one
Worcester stop?
nearby in Southborough, and we have
Southborough.
a bus that we've been, funding to
Okay.
kind of get people there in the morning and get back. So it was just something I was curious if you had discussed when you were thinking about this location-wise. Obviously, 495, the highways are really convenient, but we do want people to also participate in these amenities that we're adding because we want people to, be coming in from other sides, of the state and being able to work here successfully.
I can tell you this, that if there's an opportunity and we get a group of people that want to take the bus from PI down to the Southborough station or vice versa, MEDC and Meredith will work to make sure that happens. We want to fill that bus, and if it's full, we'll get a second bus. So
No, that's great.
And if the companies can encourage, all they can do is encourage the employees. We can't find them if they don't do it, but we're trying to encourage as many as we can to utilize.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear.
The headquarters in Germany has a bus stop right outside of it, and it gets packed every day. I mean, there's like 60 employees that go into that bus and come and go. So I think it's a great idea, but it really comes down to like critical mass, I think, and how many people will be coming in from out of town.
Right, no, and I respect it's a culture shift to kind of get people to be utilizing public transit and things.
I don't think it's a culture shift so much as opposed to like a convenience topic, you know? Like, if they're close to a commuter rail where they live, right, then it makes a lot of sense. But if they're kind of commuting from, I mean, I'm coming from northern Rhode Island, right? I'd have to take a, you know the commuter rail
Yes,
system.
yeah.
So,
Too
So
familiar.
it's a convenience thing, right? I'm thinking from Worcester, if they're in downtown Worcester, they can take the commuter rail out here. Great idea, and take the bus to work. I think it would work.
Well, I appreciate that information. And another question I have, at the previous facilities that were in Auburn and Hopkinton, did you participate in TIF programs for those?
In Hopkinton, we did not, because we leased there. And this was 20 years ago when we put the building up in Auburn, so I don't know the answer to that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I was just curious, if recognize the outgrowing of a facility, right, with the need and the size, and so was wondering, if you did have a TIF, if you had met the duration of that requirement, but I recognize that that's something that was before your time with the organization.
Yeah, I mean, I was with the organization, but I was not at that level to know those details.
Point of information, Mr. Chair.
Oh, yes, Mr. President.
So, Council Plummer, the state would not look favorably on businesses that just bounce from town to town for TIFs. That's not how these are set up. So Meredith or the mayor can confirm it, but they don't normally like to see, hey, my TIF's done, I'm gonna go somewhere else. And if they did, okay, but the benefit to Marlborough is we now have a $5 million plus better building, and I'll keep pointing to resilience with that TIF. We do not lose money on TIFs. Unfortunately, TIFs got off to a bad start, and people are left with a bad taste in their mouth. The city has done nothing but succeed with TIFs, and I just ask you to really think hard about that, or prove to me why it doesn't work, I guess, would be the better way to look at it. Thank you, Mr.
Good point,
Chairman.
Mr. President. Thank you.
If I could just follow up on that, not only didn't we lose money on the resilience property, but we never gave up any tax revenue on that because it was they never hit their numbers. So we ended up with this $5 million building that no one was in, that we were getting full tax revenue from the entire time it was there. I'd rather have a building full of employees, and we're gonna see that down there. But that's one that, with all the best intentions of the company and the council and going through the process,
Yeah.
we never gave up 10 cents, so.
Yeah, but you bring up a good point on the public transport, and one topic that I've been thinking about is the amount of parking spaces there at the facility, because it's designed for an office building with multiple levels and a lot of offices, and we're going to use that as a light manufacturing facility. So we have a lot of parking spots there, and I think it was a 4.5 spaces per 1,000 square feet. And I'm wondering what your thoughts were on how does a city like Marlborough modify that policy so that maybe a little bit more in tune with modern times of remote work, flex work. The offices won't be filled 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on that?
No, I appreciate the question, and I don't know if we have enough time in this meeting to really dive into it, because I do think it's sort of a holistic approach, whether it's changing some of our zoning, it's coming up in the housing projects that are coming into the city around the number of units that are requiring a certain amount of parking and what it looks like in certain areas of the city. And I think until we continue to invest right in that link of the transit, people are driving, and we are sort of caught in between in that situation because people want to be able to commute, and we are centrally located near highways, but obviously you're a little bit that kind of last mile situation in terms of public transit. But I think that's sort of a state conversation that's continuing to move around, decreasing parking spaces and kind of reimagining what the use of parking lots can be, because it is a lot of wasted space, especially if it's not fully utilized.
Yeah, it is a bit late right now. I hope it's okay that I ask questions like that. So, yeah.
No, it's okay. And I did appreciate the conversation too. I wanted to uplift, the idea of like a makerspace, something with childcare. I think those are kind of unique attributes that you're bringing forward as a company that we don't actually see oftentimes. Of here are some things we want to be community centric, which I really do appreciate. And seeing the kind of finances comparatively to other ones. I don't think it's as much of a lift as we've seen. And, similar to Councilor Orem's comments, I'm one of the councilors who is more wary of TIFs because I do think that, overall as something moving within Massachusetts rather than something outside coming into the state, and the number of jobs doesn't seem like a lot of jobs, relative, especially if it's just a chance that they could be hired Marlborough residents, which I recognize is a limitation that exists. And so I'm wondering, I'm having read through kind of the agreement as well, I'm confirming that these are not remote jobs. I saw that language in there, but I just wanted to confirm that. And then also, if you could kind of speak to the work, I know in tandem with MEDC, to kind of do that local hiring. I know it's come up about the job fairs and kind of, posting the positions and indicating, what the qualifications are, but what kind of things have you done in the past to kind of recruit local workers, and what do you think might be most successful given the breakdown that we see where there's, I think, a lot of jobs kind of, and then it sort of tapers and more jobs in the managerial and the other positions?
Yeah. Well, I think it just makes a lot of sense hiring local people. So just at a lot of different levels, right? And what I've stressed is having internships at PI. We didn't have an internship program before I took over, and now we do. And we've had students from Tri-County come on board and work, their co-op, where it's 1 week at the company, 1 week at school. We've done a lot of work with the local universities, WPI, URI, recruiting students. So I'm trying to take the approach, build it and they will come, right? So we're gonna build that facility. We're gonna sell PI to the local community, and hopefully be attractive enough for the talent to come.
Yeah, and I would also say, if you've kind of been following what's been going on in this city, we obviously have a lot of new housing projects, a lot of units, right? If people were to
I've noticed,
also
yeah.
move into those,
Yeah.
that's kind of, I think, the ideal scenario, that people are hoping that those individuals also want to live near where they work, right? And can contribute to our community. So it's sort of like a holistic process. So, I would encourage that same connections that I'm sure MEDC and the mayor are already working on, to kind of ensure that those individuals also know they can live here, right? And not have to make that commute.
Yeah, I mean,
part of it.
it's a great city, right? I mean, there's a lot of elements here that would be attractive to, really any age that could work for PI. So, and, we don't have that in Auburn right now. It's a little bit of a different environment. It's a real suburb, right? So, I think this brings a lot of opportunity for people to be able to even walk to work, right? They could even walk to work if they live close enough. And there's multifamily units available for them. So.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate, you going through some of the answers as well. And, I'm with Councilor Orem. We're just a really ideal location. It's a beautiful property. I've never been on the inside, but I've been around the area. And so hopefully we'll be able to, see it when it's all upgraded.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Palmer. Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So again, thank you to Marlborough. PI is an amazing company, pushing the technology. Your influence in the semiconductor industry cannot be underrated. It's phenomenal, fundamental, enabling technology that a lot of our modern innovation is based on. Comes from company like PI or companies like that. Having them here for their North American headquarters, I think, would be an incredible marquee for us as a community, as well as the location itself, right off of 495. It's visible right off there. It's a bear to get to once you find it, but it's right off of 495, so it really says a lot for the city as well as for them. So I don't see any issues in supporting this in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Doucette. Councilor Landers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have probably 2 or 3 questions. Dave, it looks like you have about 7 or 8 products that you've showed on our brochure there.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned light manufacturing. What do you do? Design and manufacture models and then have them produced elsewhere, or do you do that much manufacturing in-house?
Yeah. Right, so it's a good question, and I think we have a couple of examples of the products on there. I'll try to be very quick about this and brief. We do a combination of machining up in New Hampshire, of buying, so we take components that we machine there. We bring them to the facility here. We take components from third-party vendors, like encoders and electronics, bring them into the facility, and we get also material from Germany, electronics and ceramic materials. We bring them here, and we do the assembly and test. So it's value-added assembly and test. It can be heavy. I mentioned my words here: 3 tons, 4 tons.
You're putting a freight elevator in, so you must.
We are, yes, yeah. We have to do
A couple
that.
of heavyweights there.
We have to do that. And the thing is, we use granite a lot.
Oh, do you really?
And granite is a very interesting material. It's very thermally stable. It damps vibration very, very well. So it's used a lot in these high-tech semiconductor tools. So that's what we use to mount everything to.
Very good, good explanation. I have another question. It looks like your salary ranges are pretty good.
Yeah.
Are you at full employment right now? You have trouble hiring people, that's what I'm really saying.
We are doing a lot better than most companies. And I'm actually very proud of it.
About people that want to work?
We have people, yep, and we put, in fact, we just put a couple of recs out there for technicians over the past week and a half, and we already hired somebody. So you know, there are some companies, maybe not here in Marlborough, but in this part of Massachusetts, that are starting to lay off technicians. It's a little bit of a, and we're able to take that talent on because we have a little bit of a longer term approach. We don't look at quarterly earnings, we look more of over a 2-3 year plan.
Yeah. And I must put a couple of plugs in. We have some fine schools in Marlborough. Marlborough High School has a good STEM program.
Mm-hmm.
And then right a mile away, we have Assabet Vocational School, which have many good programs.
Yeah.
So it's a real plus.
If anyone can make some introductions, I'd be happy to go over
Meredith
there
can
and
get you in
meet
all 3 of them, so.
All right, great, yeah. Thank you.
And, you know, I myself, I think this is a good way to go. I think what it does to me and people that I've talked to, except some of my neighbors that don't understand TIFs, it kind of lets the business world out there know that we are very pro-business. And, you know, we are in Marlborough. But this is just, it's such an obvious one that we're willing to work with a medium to large company that wants to come to Marlborough. And, you know, we're not gonna cut into our own tax base, but we are gonna set up, and that's what, I've been on the council, I don't know how many years, but we've had many TIFs. People, they think we're giving away the world. Well, we're not. They're still gonna pay the taxes that the previous owner paid, but it's to encourage them to take that initiative, to improve, to expand, and to bring in items, equipment, or furniture that they ordinarily wouldn't do, but they'd say, hey, this is part of the TIF, so we're certainly gonna do it. So I think it gives that message that I want people, businesses, to know that Marlborough is very pro-business.
Mm-hmm.
I can go on forever, but that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Good points. Council Landers. Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Any, Council Perman.
Just want to make sure this microphone's on. I know we received this packet. I had a question of one of the bullet points, but I also, if there's anything that you want to highlight in here since we just received it, you know, please let me know. But I guess on this, like the 2023 expansion page, it says like a 300% production increase. Is that because you have more size, so you're able to do a lot more? Can you speak a little bit more about how rapid, and is that, you know, an immediate increase, or once all of the improvements are made and the staffing is higher, that percentage will be reached?
It's not an immediate increase. It's more an increase in space, okay? But I can tell you that, just a little bit inside of PI as a company, we're capacity constrained globally. So that means that we don't have enough space, we don't have enough people, and we're doing a great job here hiring people and expanding the product line. So I think we will grow here at a faster rate than PI Global will.
That's helpful context. I appreciate it. Is there anything else in here? I know I did look through it, but I see most of it is kind of like what you all do and where the offices are and what it looks like. But is there anything else that we should be, you know, drawing attention to, given the
I just
beautiful
wanted to
work
kind
that
of-
went into it, you know?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a flavor for the business and brief enough so that you'd all kind of look through it and in depth enough to be a little bit interesting. I wanted to give you a sense for the company as a whole globally, and then just some pictures of the products that we make. But I mean, certainly there's more on pi.ws
Right.
or pi-usa.us.
That's really helpful. And then the last question, Jess, I know there's the Nashua location, which you mentioned that work is still happening there.
Yes.
Is there a clear delineation of differentiated work between Nashua and what would happen in Marlborough? Or will
Yes.
some of that be incorporated in the Marlborough location?
There's a little bit of overlap, but that's a real machining facility. That's machining and grinding up there in Nashua. And, you know, those folks up there that work for us, they live in northern New Hampshire. They commute almost like 45 minutes south. So it just wasn't possible to combine the facilities. Maybe one day we could do that, but
Well, there's 495 for you, right?
it's
So,
$4.95, exactly.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Council Orman.
It's just some follow-ups on some of the answers you gave. And first, I just heard you say you're very concerned about your employees, so that was a nice thing to say just recently about the New Hampshire folks. You mentioned the parking. It sounds like you got more than enough parking.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of placing solar panels over the parking lot?
Yes.
Because that would be another
And we have a pretty
environmental...
large roof as well. I'm thinking about doing that.
Excellent.
So that would be part of the 4.9, but it would be more of a phase 2 approach. I want to get in the building and
Sure.
operate the facility, and then after that, we would consider that, and also a new HVAC system.
Well, and Americans love cars unless you have a really great transit system that goes right to places as they do in Germany, which they're very familiar with public transportation. But yeah, that would be great if you had solar panels and electric charging units for all the new electric cars that are coming out. And I'm
Yeah,
not putting out,
It should have been in our proposal. I think I asked.
I
us
might
to
have seen
put
it,
in
but
there. But yeah, we do want to put the EV chargers there.
excellent. And last but not least, maybe a comment. Marlborough's got some great houses for presidents of companies to live in.
Yeah, that's
I'll
right.
leave it at that. Thank you.
Someone told me about that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor Orman. If there's no further discussion, I will Councilor Brown.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was actually, I move to approve the council resolution and the TIF.
Okay. So what we'll be approving is 1, the TIF agreement,
I'm sorry.
and 2, the city council resolution. I will
Correct.
second that. Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to approve order number 22-100-8736, proposed tax increment financing TIF agreement with PI Physique Instrument LP, a global manufacturer and supplier of positioning technology to operate at 130 Lazard Drive, City Assessors Map 90, Parcel 2A, and this will be the TIF agreement and the city resolution. Any further discussion? Councilor Doucette.
Yeah, is it worth getting this through in one night, or is it worth getting this through in one night, or?
Yes, so the goal would be, I will ask the Finance Committee that once I report this out, we'll be voting on this as a suspension on the next city council meeting.
Thank you for that, appreciate the
Thank you,
clarification.
Councilor Doucette. No further discussion, all in favor? All opposed? It carries 4-0. Entertain a motion.
You want suspension?
You need to do them both
Thank
separately
you,
still?
Mr.
Yes.
President. And if it's okay with the Finance Committee, I will be asking for a suspension after I report that out. All in favor? Thank you.
Did you need us to vote separately on the agreement and the resolution, or was that one vote?
That would be one vote.
Okay, just clarifying. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn? Yeah, we just did that, yeah. It's okay.
Motion was made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? It carries 4-0.
Mr.
We are
Chairman,
adjourned at
members, thank you very
7:49.
much.